Hello Crafty Mavens, this is Megan and I am back today with a fun In Your Pocket Tuesday video. So for this week, it is a summery, outdoorsy feel. At least to me, that's kind of where I went with these photos. Back in March, my family and I went to an amusement park called Lagoon, and we spent our last day of spring break there. So I just thought that I would scrapbook some of these photos. I didn't really stick to like the color scheme of the inspiration piece. What I got from the inspiration piece was just being outdoors, and most of these photos are us outdoors. So here I'm going to start working with this middle left photo, and it is of the lions in the park, which I really had no idea that the park even had a zoo. It was kind of interesting because we've been there a couple times and I don't remember ever seeing a zoo. So it was interesting. It was toward the back, so maybe we just never went, but it was on, like, you got on this train and you rode around and you saw the animals, and I'm pretty sure we've ridden on that train before, so I don't know if that's a recent kind of edition thing. I don't know. Anyway, so here you can see I've cut the photo down to quite a bit smaller, and then I'm going to add in some of this tissue paper, and this is just white tissue paper, and I am just going to rip it apart just to make it look a little bit more interesting. So here I'm spending some time doing that, and then I'm going to glue it down, and I have this cute little chipboard piece that says, "This is the life." And I'm really sorry if you can hear my husband is watching some trailers for some scary movies, I guess. I don't know why. He's just sitting in the living room watching all these loud trailers. I've already asked him to turn the volume down once, so I hope you can't hear it. Anyway, so you can see I'm adding just a little bit of a border to the top and the bottom of this Dream Big card because I didn't like the rounded corners, and so I'm just adding this red bit to the top and bottom. I am going to add this high little rubber charm, and that is from an Amy Tangerine collection. I think it was her most recent one. So here I'm gluing down that photo and that little chipboard piece, and that one is done. And I forgot, I do add some of these little phrase stickers from Amy Tangerine as well. And I'm not going to do the journaling on camera on that card. I will do journaling on these other two cards. But here I'm showing you this card that I am working on is going to be another journaling card where I am going to journal about the last ride that we went on, which was actually my favorite ride. And I just wanted to keep this card simple because it was just going to be a journaling card. So I cut apart some of that, those word squares, and then I also used another one of those Amy Tangerine phrases. It says just plain wonderful, and then the little embellishment paper says let's do this. I did pull out these triangle enamel shapes from the Hazelwood collection, and I put them down on the bottom, but I am not going to like that, so I'm going to take them off. And it actually works out because I end up journaling more than I thought I was going to, and so my journaling covers that area anyway. So here I'm just going to write the journaling, which says my favorite ride was the old white rickety roller coaster. And then I got frustrated because I spelled roller coaster wrong. But I just decided not to even bother with correcting it. So I go on to say, you would think I'd hate it most and feel unsafe on it. Ha ha. I love the old time thrills. So yeah, the old roller coaster is still there in Lagoon. It was built in the 1920s, and it's still there and still working, and that one was my favorite. Crazy, right? I don't know why. But I rode on the newer rides that are a lot smoother, and those ones made me sick. Is that weird? Like, I could go on the old rickety one that was like really bumpy, and it was so fun and I loved it. But then going on a smooth ride was like just, it made me want to throw up. It was weird. So here I'm using some sequins from Spiegelmom Scraps. These ones are from the sequin mix called Too Cool for School. Or no, not Too Cool for School. Too Cool for You, I think is what it's called. And it has a bunch of little teeny tiny silver stars. So I'm using my Scotch tacky glue to glue those little bitty stars down. So I'm done with that one now. Let's see, I can't remember which one I move on to. I think I go on to this picture, which is the one ride, the old rickety white roller coaster that was my favorite. And they had this sign up kind of explaining the history behind it and why it's called the white roller coaster, because it's kind of in between colors. Apparently, I guess I could just read it to you. So it says, is the roller coaster white or brown? Right now, it's a little bit of both, but stick around a few years and the roller coaster will be one color, brown, aka natural wood. When built in 1921, the roller coaster was painted to preserve the wood. However, now using treated lumber, painting is not necessary and unpainted lumber is preferred by Lagoon's maintenance technicians who inspect the entire track and structure daily. Watch soon for the brown roller coaster, providing white knuckle thrills for many years to come. So I guess they used to have to paint it white because it was safer. But now, since lumber has changed, they can keep it just the natural wood color. So I just thought that was interesting, and I took a photo of it and wanted to include it in Project Life. So here you can see I am just doing some embellishing. I put a little piece of a scrap paper to the right side, and then that little Amy Tangerine word phrase little cube box thing, whatever you want to call it. It was one of the pattern papers from the 6x6 pad, and I just cut them up. And then here I'm just writing out the last ride, and I'm going to put it up at the top. I was thinking I was going to put it all across the top like that, but I don't really like it like that, so I'm going to cut the word the off and put it on top of last ride, just like that. I was thinking I'd put it over to the right just like the other two, but I felt like that didn't create enough balance. I needed something over on the left-hand side, so I'm going to push it over to the left a little bit more. So I'm just going to put down all of these little tiny alphas, and then I'm also going to put some of those sequins on the top part as well. Now I'm going to move on to this other card, and this one is going to be my other journaling card. Oh, and here I decided to put the word best on top of that for sure. It kind of just completed that card because I was thinking that this roller coaster was the best for sure. So I liked that. Okay, now I am going to move on to these last four. Well, actually, I haven't done the top row, so I'm going to move on to these bottom four. I do things all out of order in my project life. I start where I feel like starting. And so I'm just doing my journaling on this bottom one, which says, after a full day, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Lagoon, the boys were so tired. Jonas couldn't even finish his Taco Bell, which never happens. And Tinian fell asleep in the car. Brennan, however, never gets tired. Haha. I think Brennan, you can kind of see him in the photo behind Tinian. I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the pictures, but he is looking down in the photo behind Tinian because they like to play their Kindles when we go on car rides, and he stayed up and played his Kindle the whole ride home. It takes about 3 hours to get home. So here I'm just going to add some more of those sequins, and this time I just used the yellow with a couple of the silver stars. Okay, now on to this photo of Jonas. This one is such a funny photo to me because you can just tell how tired he is. Like, he just looks exhausted. So I'm going to end up putting this OMG rubber charm on here. Just because in the journal I said, you know, he didn't even finish eating his Taco Bell dinner because he was so tired. So OMG, that's totally unheard of, right? Kept that one super simple, and now I'm moving on to this one of the blurry Welcome to Idaho sign. Oh wait, no. I decided to do this photo of Tinian. So this is Tinian just sleeping in the car. He was so super tired. So here I'm just going to write out, oh my heart, because I thought that would be cute, because he's just such a cutie. And then I'm going to do some of the sequins up in the top right hand corner, and then this card is done. Now I'm moving on to this Welcome to Idaho sign, and I didn't realize that it had been, it was coming up, and so by the time I grabbed my phone and snapped a photo, it was just like I was moving too much, and so it was kind of blurry, but I still wanted to include it, and it's totally fine with me that it's blurry. You get the gist when you're looking at it. So I'm just gonna write out almost home. We live about 2.5 hours, well, maybe 2 hours from the border, I guess. And then I had these two cut aparts from a, let's see, I can't remember what collection it was from, but they had the words us and fun on there, and even though we're on our way home and we've already had all of the fun, I still wanted to kind of include it just as a little bit more of embellishing on this one card that didn't have much going on. And I am done with that card, so I'm going to set that one aside. And then I'm going to move on to these top three. So these ones were of us earlier in the day, and I hadn't realized that I had two 4x6s in that 4x6 pocket. So now I'm like, crap, I have this photo, this cute photo of my boys and me, and I want to include that, so I'm going to decide to do a layout with that one and another photo of Tinian and me. Okay, so here I'm just using that card that says yay on it. I'm going to stick it on there, and I'm just going to write out the word lunch. So it's going to say lunch, yay! And this was Tinian's lunch, which is actually kind of a funny story. He likes hot dogs, but he doesn't like corn dogs, and for some reason none of the food stands had just a plain hot dog. So I had to buy him a corn dog and then peel off the skin, which I totally should have journaled about that. Maybe I'll go back. Oh, you know what? I can do it on the Dream Big one, because that one's blank right now. Okay, so this isn't the last one. This is the second to last photo. I am just going to write out always chicken, because Jonas is so funny. He never gets anything different. Always chicken nuggets, always chicken strips, anything chicken he will eat. Like, he likes eating hamburgers and hot dogs and stuff at home, but it's like if we go out and he has the option to get chicken strips or chicken nuggets, like, that's what he gets. So I just think it's funny. Okay, so now I had these two words that said dad, and then the second one said son. But since it's all three of my kids, I added a S onto it. It didn't turn out the best, but I didn't really care. I'm going to use it anyway. So it says dad and sons. I pulled out a wood veneer ampersand from my stash, and I'm going to use that. And then that is it for this spread. I hope that you enjoyed this layout and that you are inspired by this week's inspiration piece. Make sure to keep following us. Come on over to Instagram and Facebook. We would love to hear from you. Have a great day. Bye.